In this lecture, we would like to discuss Locke's views on civil society and government. So, exactly, John Locke makes distinction between the state and the government. By the first contract, the civil society is formed, and after the formation of the civil society, the government is formed by a second contract. Locke lays emphasis on social contract among the people by which the state is formed. The state is formed to remove certain inconvenience of the state of nature while describing the relationship between the community and the government. Law uses the very term trust and cautiously avoids to use the word contract. The reason for doing so is the fact that in the opinion of Locke, the government is subordinate to the community. He maintains that the government exists for the good of the people, and if it violates the trust reposed in it, it can legitimately be removed. So Professor Van expresses the same opinion on the explanation of John Locke, as he says, why adopting the analogy of a trust rather than that of contract. Locke makes very fair provision not only for popular control of government, but also for a progressive extension of that control as experience may dictate. Whatever be the exact form of government established by the community, there is always one condition which must be fulfilled, and the condition is that both legislature and executive are bound to act for the benefit of the community from whom their authority is derived. Describing the functions of government, Law himself says that if man in the state of nature be so free, if he be absolute lord of his own person and possessions, equal to the greatest and subject to nobody, while will part with his freedom, why will he give up this empire and subject himself to the dominion and control of any other power, to which it is obvious to answer that though in the state of nature he has such a right, yet the enjoyment of it is very uncertain and constantly exposed to the invasion of others. This makes him willing to quit this condition, which, however free, is full of fears and continual dangers. And it is not without reason that he seeks out and is willing to join the society with others for preservation of their lives, liberties, and estates, which I call by general name property. In the opinion of Locke, the government has to perform the following functions. So, as according to law, the government has to perform to establish and make known men the standard of right and wrong and the common measure to decide all controversies between them. So also to provide an impartial authority which shall decide all the disputes arising among persons in accordance with the established law, so also to safeguard the interest of the community and of its members in relation to other communities and their citizens. This has been described as the most important function of the government, according to John Locke. As regards the forms of government, Locke says if the legislative power is in the hand of one man, it is monarchy. When this power is vested in the few selected men, then it is oligarchy. But when the power is vested in the whole community and the community appoints few officers to execute laws, the government is a perfect democracy. Locke says whatever be the form of legislative, it must remain sacred and unalterable in the hands where the community have once placed it. Locke consider a limited democracy in the hands of delegates controlled by election as the best form of government, and which is nothing but the parliamentary form of government or the representative democracy, which is the foundation stone of the British constitutional monarchy in England, and which is also being adopted by many countries, including our India. It also adopted a parliamentary form of government by following the path of the British constitutional monarchy. So, according to Locke, the legislature is the supreme power to which all other powers, specifically the executive, must be subordinate. If there is anything higher than the legislature, it is the people. Though Locke maintains that the legislature is the supreme power, he, however, says that its power are not absolute. So, from this also we could derive the very notion of collective responsibility of the cabinet or council of ministers, or the cabinet responsibility. So, whenever there was a no confidence motion against any government in the legislature, it exactly indicates that the executive is always under the control and mercy of the legislature. Because if the legislature wants to change the executive, it can do it by bringing a no confidence motion on the ground of collective responsibility or cabinet responsibility. So, by these things, we found also that Locke contributed to the very doctrine of separation of powers. And as we know, the very scent and authority of separation of power is bestowed upon Montesquieu. But now here, analyzing Locke's civil society and government, we found that also he clearly made a clear-cut separation of powers between the legislature and the executive. So also another important thing that Locke contributed, a representative and responsible, transferable and accountable government, and that is the parliamentary form of government. So Also, another major contribution in this context, while analyzing Locke's civil society and government, we found that it is the people or the electorate who are the absolute authority to change any government if it goes against and encroach or infringe their natural rights. So it clearly indicates about the process of representative government and election. So ultimately the electorate, they enjoy the supreme political power to overthrow and change the government if it violates those inviolable natural rights of man. So, from this also we found another great thing that contributed by Locke, that besides separation of power, he established a political sovereignty, as because when it is a form of representative government or parliamentary form of government where the executive is completely responsible, accountable to the legislature. So also, if the legislatures they went against the wishes of the people, so ultimately they could be changed and they could be overthrown in the form of government, and it clearly indicates about political sovereignty. As we already knows that Thomas Hobbes was in favor of establishing a legal sovereignty, and Jean Jacques Rousseau, the French political philosopher, was in favor of establishing popular sovereignty. So, John Locke is the champion of political sovereignty.